You guys ready?
Yes, we did.
The Mayan religion was smart, religious, clever, and important, and mostly widely unknown to many people. I am LaShe, this is Breck, Aamani, and Christian. Pay attention because it's going to be good. You guys will need it. And we are here to tell you about the Mayan civilization.
Climate. The Mayans had a seasonal desert climate, but they also had periods throughout the year where it would rain a lot. This is the seasonal desert. Climate impact. It was a theory that the Mayans, they had droughts that caused their downfall, and there was 3 large droughts that caused their downfall. And it was like the same time the Mayans' downfall, the droughts happened. So, and then the plants, they would have to plant their crops before the rain would come, because in the desert they couldn't really grow crops. And then another theory is soil erosion. They would chop down trees, and that would cause soil erosion. But during that time, researchers say that they didn't find any soil erosion in the soil, so droughts were the most effective. That's the crop.
The clothing of the Mayan civilization was very bright and decorated. The women wore a blouse called a hupo, and that is where it's a shirt and it has a hole in the top to go over your neck. And it's usually embroidered with bright colors and designs. Married men wore a traditional Spanish dress, and that was to cover the whole body so they wouldn't be seen. Single men wore brighter colors than married men wore, and they usually had decorative designs on their hupils, and they wore colors like yellows, reds, pinks. The belts that they wore were usually woven with a red or blue background, and they sometimes wore a sash. That is what a typical women's hupil will look like. You can see how it has the embroidery around the neck and the bright colors and designs all over it.
Geography. The Mayans lived in Mexico, but most of them lived on the Yucatan Peninsula. And west of the peninsula is the Pacific Ocean. East of the peninsula is the Gulf of Mexico. And east of the peninsula is the Caribbean Sea. Their highlands were mostly rainforests, and their lowlands were mostly desert. That's the Pacific Caribbean.
All right, government. Pacal became king when he was 12, and he expanded the Mayan power by creating a building program. And the first thing he built was called the El Avidado, and he was 44 at the time. Pacal died when he was 80, and he was surrounded by his valuables and sculptures. And this is a picture of him. And this is what he built.
The writing involved a set of phonetic signs that represented syllables rather than words like in our language. They had letters that were pronounced differently too, so like a J would sound like a rough H, and their consonants follow the 16th century Spanish orthography. This is what some of their signs would look like if they were engraved in a temple or inside of a pyramid. Their recreation was mostly musical plays and theater. They designed their own instruments and made them handmade so they could play them there. It was very beneficial because you could grow relationships by doing these plays. Like if a parent were to teach their child how to play an instrument, it would strengthen their relationship and their connection with each other. They would play these plays to help them tell stories and traditions to younger kids in their civilization, and they used these instruments to worship their gods. This is a marimba, and it's made out of wood, and they have like 2 sticks, and you just kind of tap on the wood, and it makes sounds as you go left to right, back and forth, up and down the marimba.
Economy. The Mayan civilization was a foundation. The Mayan agriculture was a foundation of civilization. The Mayan civilization was at its peak from 600 AD to 900 AD. Mayan had a trade routes went from short, medium, and long, and many Mayans had sophisticated forms of trade and currency. That's the Maya trade routes. The social pyramid, the upper class had kings, priests, and nobles. The middle class had officers and commoners, professionals, and merchants, etc. And the lower class had slaves and servants. That's the upper class, middle class, lower class.
Okay, Mayan law. God controlled the Mayan punishments. Murder, rape, treachery, arson, and things that offended the gods were punishable by death. And Mayans, they didn't have doors on their houses, so if like you entered in their house to hurt them or steal something, they would get killed. And if you were a minor and you committed like you broke a law, then you would have to be a slave. And if you broke a minor law, you would have to be a slave for a certain amount of time.
Most of their art was used for trade. They used it to get valuables that they needed and art that other civilizations may have wanted. They consisted of 4 main elements, which was sculptures, ceramics, paintings, and making musical instruments. The ceramics were mostly plates, vases, other pottery, and they had very intricate designs on them. The paintings that they made told stories, so most paintings would refer to sacrifices that were made in the civilization because that was very important to them for their gods. The musical instruments were used for leisure, as said before, and they specialized in building pyramids. Like a very famous pyramid that I know is the Temple of Kukulkan, and it's in Chichen Itza. That is the Temple of Kukulkan. And you can see how it's designed very differently because it doesn't come to a point at the top. It's a step pyramid, and it's flat on top for like a temple up there. And that is a painting of a sacrifice that they painted before.
The Mayans writing, the alphabet had over 600 logographs. The Mayans only have one true written system. The America only has 4 codices left today of it. The last independent kingdom of Tayasa fell as late as 1697. Only 2 or 3 of the hieroglyphs were written in different systems. That's the Mayan alphabet.
Their foods consisted of mainly chocolate and maize. Maize is very differently, it's not really corn because corn is like sugar and everything put together in one. Maize is the real deal, like really grown up from the ground. And they call chocolate the drink of gods because it's used in everything, foods, drinks, and even some remedies that they have. They had many fruits that were locally grown, and they had meats such as rabbit, turkey, deer, crocodile, turtles, manatee, monkeys, and many more. And these meats, they would grill them over a fire to eat them so they weren't raw. That is what maize would look like, and sometimes they colored it so it could be used in other designs and things that they wanted it for. And that is the cocoa bean for chocolate.
Mayan religion. Mayans were polytheistic, and most of their gods had something to do with nature and rituals. And one of their gods' name was Young Cat, and he was the maize god, and he controlled wild plants, and he protected the Mayans from demons from their crops. And Mayans built temples for their gods. And that's what Mayan sacrifice. Mayans got their sacrifice from Toltecs, and they were archaeological Mesoamerican culture. The Mayans sacrificed animals such as crocodiles, dogs, anything they could catch. The most important sacrifice was a human sacrifice, and before you got sacrificed, you were like painted blue, and you were on like this little thing, rock thing, stone, and they cut out your heart, and they threw your body down the stairs, and they gave your heart to high priest. And that's what I'm talking about.
Now we have a video to show you sacrificing of an animal. I think it's a chicken.
It's a chicken.
Oh wait. Huh? Left.
Acalaca el presente, Dios, Dios, la canca está supreme.
That is the video.
Yeah, that's
of that.
it.
That was the sacrifice of an animal.
Okay, these are impact. The Usuma, Sitha, and Hava River are the two most important rivers to the Mayan civilization. They use it to transport people, materials, and they use it to trade and take baths and stuff. And those are
We have a timeline to show you guys. And it's ready. So, some of the main points were like the Mayan calendar was made in 400 BC, and it's the earliest known solar calendar, and it was carved in stone during this time. Another one is their city, their capital city almost, called Teotihuacan. It had a mysterious event that is not known to many people about how it got destroyed, but it got destroyed and they had to make a new capital city. And then the Mayans built a new city, and this was in 1263 CE, current era. And that was when the Itzies began building the city of Mayan. So those are a few points of the Mayan civilization. And now we have questions to see if you guys are paying attention. So, yes, you can answer. Okay, so question number 1. What is the blouse called that women wore?
Women's
Yep, she was
rights.
right. So you remember this now.
Women's rights.
She had it though. Jake, you're not gonna argue.
Feminism.
Question number 2. What type of climate did the Mayans live in?
Mediterranean.
Don't call us hard.
Oh, we're so off.
Yeah.
See the desert kind of.
Okay, go. Christian.
How many years did King Pakao rule for?
Can I pick the people?
4-year term.
Keyshawn.
Almost.
How many years did King Pakao rule for?
4-year
Oh,
term.
my answer is about to be almost.
Oh, okay, that's wrong. Okay. Sarah.
68 years.
Yep. Go.
What did the Mayans
What?
phonetic signs represent?
Wait, what did you say? Wait,
What did the Mayans' phonetic signs represent in their writing?
Oh.
Yep.
I said that first.
I can't hear y'all.
Y'all got to be quiet. We're not gonna finish the question. What is the name of the Mayan instrument that I mentioned during